This is the Segovia Show.
Believe me, there is no structure. There's no formalities here. It's quite literally just chatting it up, friendly banter with other content creators. And curious, Joel, I actually want to start with you because this guy over here, this Trevor Brown, he's
Oh,
actually been on
yes.
my streams before.
That is my
So
name.
of the Trevor Report. But curious, Joel, you and I haven't actually spoken before this, actually. So I'm excited to talk to you because the last episode that you did for your podcast, it spoke to me because of who you brought on, the roller coaster enthusiast, or he's
Yeah.
he's aspiring to be because he doesn't consider himself that, right? I would say because I was always curious, like what drove your curiosity to be curious enough to do a podcast?
Well, so I did a small episode kind of diving into that a little bit. But I've just, I think part of it's like ADHD. I've always been a very curious person, a very, very fast learner of things. I would learn things really quickly and usually pretty efficiently. I get good at that, and then I get bored. Like I was like, okay, cool, moving on to the next thing. And I've done a few things with my curiosity. I learned how to, like, I learned how to be a magician, and I was a magician, a close-up magician for a couple years, until I kind of during 2020 that kind of faded, and I realized like I was a magician because my curiosity is driven. I got to see the reactions of people and stuff like that, and like learn about how the human brain works a little bit better by observing different things. And then during 2020, I was a part of a real play podcast. Are you familiar with those?
Not. I can't say that I am.
So
I'm
it's
gonna say
basically
sports.
no, not quite. So it's where people play a board game, a real board game, and record it. The board game we play, a tabletop game that we played, was Dungeons and Dragons.
Of course.
So we did that for a little bit, but there was a bunch of problems going on, that just like schedules weren't being able to be coordinated and stuff like that. So we stopped that. But that left me with a bunch of knowledge on how to do a podcast. And I was talking with my fiance and just like, okay, what do I do with this? I have, the equipment for it. I just don't know what I do. And I was running through stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I have these conversations with people all the time about like, so what got you into this? Like, how do you even do that? All these different things. And I was like, you know what? I can share that with everyone else. I can bring awareness to the backsides of certain things. So, I'm very honest on my podcast about like, there's times where it's really difficult to produce a podcast effectively. Like I struggled to sit down and actually edit the episode, and but I encouraged all my guests to be as honest, and like, the plus sides are really great to talk about, the things that make it worthwhile, but also don't forget about the other side, the things that maybe are not as pleasant, but just like a chance to give creators and a chance to actually express themselves, and not just like that everything's okay manner. And so I just
definitely.
Yeah, I just feel like a lot of people only want to hear the positives and the plus sides to whatever is going on, whatever art or passion or whatever. And I think artists also feel like they need to repress that there are downsides to certain things. But I just want to give a space for people of passion to fully express themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's cool because I too have that where I want other people to discuss the struggles, the turmoil, the blood, sweat, and tears that went into whatever passion it went into. Because some people think, like, oh, that's easy, I can do that. But no, like, and you mentioned magician magic, so I'm like, oh, Shin Lim type close up magic,
And his first magic trick, he made his camera disappear.
Oh, there you go. Right? Yeah, So Shin Lim, I'm like, man, that guy's so good, and realizing the dude was a pianist before he
Yeah.
couldn't do it anymore, and then to proceed on to do his close up magic, and then the injuries that came with it. Like I remember the first time I saw him perform was on his America's Got Talent. That's when I went back to look at his Penn and Teller performances, and even before that, when I think it was in Australia performing his 52 Shades of Red or whatever it's called, his most popular one. And when I first saw his performance on America's Got Talent, I told my wife, I don't watch America's Got Talent, so I told her, honey, I think we are seeing the greatest magician in my generation right before my eyes. And she's like, what do you see? Like, apparently the singers are better. No. Do you see his method? Do you see how he's moving? It's like you say, it's everything that behind the trick that goes into just creating that illusion. I'm like, you have to understand, he just literally removed he's palming. Wait, he's moving his fingers. He's not palming. It's like, wait, what is he doing? Well, he has a different way of palming. We know that now for those that actually care to look at the craft, right? But it's the way he executed that made it so awesome and shocking. And the mere fact that he didn't get a golden buzzer, he had to win every single round, was impressive. And it made him a better magician for it. I still think his Penn and Teller performance, where he wasn't talking, at least his first one was his best one. But still, it's like, if you don't know everything he went through just to make it look as slick as it does, then you don't really understand the craft. So I'm glad that approach, it makes complete sense, because there's just so much more behind it. I actually just had a conversation during lunch with my wife about just the breakdowns of media aesthetics when shooting a scene, because I was getting into radio and television back in my college days. And I was always fascinated by, like, okay, think about, like, if there's a solo scene where the actor is dealing with whatever on screen, and let's say it's something emotional, but no dialogue, and has to deliver all that. I've always asked, can you turn the camera around so I could see who's behind that, to see just how many people there are? But for us, this person's so alone, and there's like 50 people probably watching this. So it's like, there's so much that goes into it, and I was always fascinated about the means to that end. So for that, I can totally relate to where you're coming from on that.
And it's a lot of fun to find out, like, the inner workings of a lot of things that, like, you don't, like, most people just don't think about. And, like, I don't claim to have, like, the only unique, curious mind out there, but I haven't heard many people that have my perspective on just, like, diving in past the front of whatever it is, and just like, okay, but really, how does that actually work? Like, what does it, like, I got to find out a lot about, like, how a book actually gets self-published or versus regular, like, normal publishing brands, and just like the difficult process that it is. And most people are like, oh man, I could write a book. It's like, you could write a book, but try to get it published. It's a lot harder than people, like, I think a lot of people think. And, like, just, I like the fact that I get to do that with so many people that have so many varying passions, and I'm just always looking forward to seeing what other things I can find and who else I can talk to. So, yeah,
that's awesome. And that actually I come up with two follow-up questions to that. The first being, how did you come across my Instagram? That being the first one.
So, by the way, magicians are the only people that deceive people that people are okay with.
That's true.
I would addendum that with, the only time people pay for people to lie
to be lied to. Yeah.
Because, like, you know, you got lawyers, you got weathermen, but magicians get paid to lie to people blatantly to their face.
I know.
No. Weathermen don't lie. Meteorologists lie to weathermen, and the weatherman's technically telling the truth.
Yeah.
But you know,
I'd also, one more thing is, like, just, you know, in my perspective, magic is more of an act than lying. Like, you don't go to a theater show and go, wow, that guy's lying and telling me he's Peter Pan. You know, it's just like,
no, he's pretending to be someone else for the pleasure of others, because he's not because he doesn't like how he is, so he asks other people to give him a random personality trait, a random belief system, and random motivation, so that he can act out on that because he's ashamed of himself. That's what an actor is.
Adult pretenders, yes.
So remind me what your question was. I totally flew out of my brain.
Oh, it's okay. I know Trevor had to jump in there, and I got someone else from the Critical Introverts. I'm bringing in the Critical Introverts here. Hey,
Hey, what's up?
hey, just asking.
For his next magic trick, he'll make his camera reappear.
Reappear, right? I know the Critical Introverts is outside of the joke on this one.
Okay.
But Joel, the question was, how did you come across my Instagram?
Gosh.
Oh, did we just lose Joel?
Oh, his mic disappeared. Did he do that on purpose?
Joel, you still there?
I'm having a little trouble hearing you. My internet is having some trouble. I'm gonna see if I can.
Are you in the mountains right now?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I think
He's going to bring down the whole Verizon network if he tries to continue this call in the mountains with on StreamYard. So
while we're waiting for Curious Joel to get back on, I'm gonna introduce here the critical. Oh, he's coming into a different stream. Hold on, he's right here.
Okay.
Joel, I can hear you. Yeah, it seems that we got we just have a poor connection. I think the Critical Introverts are sabotaging your stream.
Unless you guys are going to Walmart first.
Yeah, you're coming in a
For
little
his next
broken.
trick, he'll make his microphone start working.
Let's count on it.
I will show you.
All right, Joel, you can still hear us. You're coming in and out, so let me give you a moment to get...
Well, I'm trying to get this back.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. It like hooked onto some Wi-Fi.
Oh, I see. For context, Critical Introverts, he's on the road, so he was driving.
No,
yeah, he
no
just
problem.
dropped out again.
He's also a magic man.
He's also a magician. So, so while we're waiting for him to come back on, because I wanted to finish up a couple of questions with him. So,
Yeah.
Critical Introverts or Senior Filth, which one are we sticking with today?
Critical Introverts is the show, but my title, like the host, is Senor Filth.
Alrighty.
It's stupid, but it is what it is.
I know. I was eventually going to ask you about that.
Now,
Let me
is that
introduce
the French senior or the Spanish
The
senior?
Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Senor, yeah.
I don't do the French. Yeah.
Good.
I don't either.
Well, I'm about to bring Joel back on, but this is Trevor Brown from the Trevor Report.
Okay. Cool. Hey, man.
He's actually someone that I teased about before to you about wanting to connect. So I'm just mentioning that now before I forget about it. So let me see if I can bring Joel back on. I think I only got him for a few minutes. Okay. Joel, if you can hear me, your microphone is muted. So you can unmute it on your own, or I can unmute it for you.
If you're trying to get a better connection, you'll probably find it down the mountain instead of above the mountain.
Yeah. Reason I asked, I will rejoin.
Okay.
Wi-Fi. Okay. Not a problem, Joel. You're welcome to come back. I'll be here.
Okay.
All right. Well, since Critical Introverts joined the chat. So just letting you know, hey, so do you want me to call you Critical Introverts? Because I don't know how to address you on this one.
You can call me Critical CI or whatever. Whatever
CI.
you want to
All
call
right,
me.
I'll call you CI. All right, and I guess we'll find out what we're still on for Friday, right?
Yeah, I can't be on this for too long because I have to like start dinner and stuff like that soon.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to get through with you, and we got Friday in the books. So
Yeah.
I look forward to connecting with you on your program there.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Trevor is actually the first collab I ever did, and we've been in touch ever since. So he reached out. And Critical Introverts, why don't you introduce yourself, since Trevor's probably never heard of you.
Sure. I'm the host of a podcast called the Critical Introverts. It's pretty much it's culture war related, but through the perspective of like creative and artist types. Like I do graphic design, illustration, and within the art world, there's like a huge pressure to kind of lean heavily left. And I mean, I'm still pretty left leaning, but not to the point that it was like what it is now. Um, so now people look at me like I'm like Ronald Reagan or some shit like that. But I'm still pretty left leaning. And yeah, I just wanted to make this show and have it grow to like a little space for other artists to like connect, because just finding work if you're not part of that crowd is becoming harder and harder.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Totally. And based on some of the interviews that I've seen you do, I never, had you not mentioned what you just said, I would not have thought of you being more left leaning, like center left, than you are, like, for example, center right, or even right leaning, because more people might even get the impression, oh, just another right winger doing a podcast.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, it's like now the left is sort of defined as just being progressive, or what I think, and like I think my views haven't really changed since like the '90s, and now, like, it's like the '90s were like a time of like being weird and creative and kind of rebellious, and now being that type is seen as yeah. So it's
Independently thinking. You're
Yeah.
such a fascist. You're such a racist fascist.
So and it's, I mean, it's kind of fun to like, I follow a lot of artists, and to see a lot of them get more and more insane with their leftist stuff is kind of interesting to see. Even like artists that like I was a huge fan of are now just like insane. Yeah, so it's a weird thing to happen to the art world, and I think it's only gonna get kind of worse. It's gonna get more corporate.
If it hasn't already, yeah.
Yeah, and but I think it does leave some room for like anyone that wants to like bring it back to being experimental, to start being more like self-reliant. I think. I hope. I hope at least.
Oh no, I actually agree with you. It's called the parallel economy. I am part of that. I'm officially across. Well, ever since the Vox apocalypse, and I might share, depending on what you want to talk about on your show.
I'm
on
creating
Friday.
a parallel economy to layer on the parallel economy, which will self-generate an increasingly parallel economy, and then it'll just be the omni-parallel that controls all of the parallels.
Well, I don't know if
that
I
was
want
a joke.
You to be.
That was a
I
joke.
don't know if I know you're doing a parallel economy for your own, but
that was a joke.
I don't want you to be the oligarch, Trevor. Well, it's just like ever since the Vox apocalypse, that's where it really stifled my channel growth on YouTube. And last year, was it last year? No, we're in 2022 already. Yeah, 2021. That's when I knew I was not gonna experience any more growth on YouTube whatsoever. And that's when I ended up getting my show on a bunch of other platforms. So the long and short of my journey is I actually started a political newsletter back in 2003. And that eventually morphed into a blog, which morphed into a podcast. And I did that, the Andres Segovia Show, from 2003 to 2009, when I turned it into what's called the newsreel. And that was at the dawn of Twitter. So when Twitter came along, it fit exactly what I was doing, because before I was doing opinion pieces that required a lot of time, thought, and editing to produce these things and put them out there. After the fact, I just didn't have any more time, so I became more of a news aggregated a blog. That's when I'm like, Twitter, microblogging just makes it even easier.
Yeah.
So I did that for a time. But while I did the Andres Segovia Show, I did something called the Critic Corner, because staying in politics would just drive anybody insane. So I actually also dabbled some time in the stuff of Hollywood. I was more on the film music side and the media aesthetics of things, and instead of what's in front of the camera. I like to see what makes the thing in front of the camera look great. So that was me. So I became an amateur movie critic. I got the attention of independent like directors and producers, which was cool because I was able to check out some things. And curious, Joel, if you can hear me, I'm gonna bring you on here in a moment. And what made it fascinating was when Warner Brothers started inviting me to their movies for private critic screenings. So I can actually say I was among the first to have the Dark Knight review before anybody else. They didn't make me sign an NDA, so I got away with it, but I didn't spoil anything. After that, they made me sign an NDA. But I enjoyed it, and I never got that out of me. So I did do that, and when I got married, then kids came along. Things did morph a lot for me, so I kind of put a lot of that stuff on the back burner. But I always wanted to continue doing what I do. So I love tech, so that's how the tech corner got started for YouTube. But eventually, I brought that over, like, to rebranding Under Segovia Show 3 years ago today, or this week, and that's how I brought back I guess you could say, the brand. But it's not politically like opinionated like it used to be, even though I still do that. But instead of having it front and center, I invite people, go check it out, like on my locals account, or there's still some stuff available on my website. But I'm like, you know what? Here's a place where I prefer to have it, because I don't want to just be the one talking. I want to have a discussion, dialogue with others. So that's the microcosm of what's really been 19 years worth of work.
Wow.
And it's just, I'm here where I am. That's why I'm like, I still wanted to talk to other ones that are going. Like, I don't know how long you guys have been at it and things like that. And I'm gonna just, I lost Joel again.
I think I've started around a year ago. Because it was always something I kind of been curious about, and the thing that really made me say, like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it, was the whole Gina Carano being canceled thing. And like, I was talked to like other like creative types, and like they just didn't get like why that was a problem, especially in the creative world. Like, you need, like, you need freedom to be creative. And
every time one of these things happen, I just think of them with pitchforks and torches saying "burn the witch." That's just how I think of it, you know.
Yeah. And it's like I said, like, being like a 90s style liberal, just seeing like the left turn into like that pitchfork kind of crowd was just really, really bizarre. And that's why I just started to just reach out to other artists, and like, at times I think for a lot of people it could feel kind of lonely. Like, it could feel like you're the only one viewing the world this way. So you need to like start communicating with anyone you can that like at least kind of knows, at least sees it similar to you, in the slightest. So yeah.
I really think that you guys can have very fascinating conversations. I'm actually sending UCI. I'm sending you. This is the handle for Trevor's IG, and I'm sending.
My Instagram isn't very good if he wants to like know what I'm about. My Instagram is basically just a giant joke.
No, I know, but what I meant was, like, at least for you guys to have some way to communicate with one another in case you guys want to connect after this. Because I think you guys can connect at a similar level. Trevor, since he doesn't know you, why don't you introduce yourself to him?
Yeah, sure. My name is Trevor Brown. I'm the host of the Trevor Report, which is exclusively on Liberty platforms like Minds, Odyssey, Rumble, and BitChute. I don't advertise BitChute because the comment section is living cancer but magicked up to turn into a giant kaiju that Voltron will have to defeat. So I don't advertise it, but I started it off that way because I just kind of saw Parler get kind of beamed down by the Eye of Sauron. That's kind of where the Trevor Report started in December 2020. I just kind of found out that if I didn't edit videos at all, I had a 20-minute limit,
Yeah.
and I could put the video on there. And it's just kind of like one of the standard, you turn OBS on, you turn on your the thing that you're reading, and you put your camera in the corner, and then you read it. And you just say, "Hi, my name. This is my name. This is what I'm talking about." And then you talk about the thing, and you go, "All right, now that the thing I've talked about is over, give me money."
Yeah.
But I didn't do the give me money thing back then, because I was just doing it. I was mainly LARPing. But then Parler got attacked, and that's when I realized, okay, I need to decentralize this. I need to have, if I'm going to be put in a situation where I want to speak the truth, and to be fair, I have the kind of, I'll just say tenacity. I have the kind of tenacity to want to speak my mind, and want to speak my mind in the public square. And I want to be able to speak my mind in the public square without fearing some targeted harassment campaign coming after me and stealing my entire life. Not stealing, ravaging my life prospects from me, and then calling themselves justice for doing so, which, whatever, fine. So then it started off on Rumble, and then I posted on Minds, "Hey, look guys, I posted this thing on Rumble." And then I was like, "Oh, I could post these videos on Rumble too." And then I heard of Odyssey. I was like, "All right, cool, so I could post these on no, then it was BitChute, and then it was Odyssey." It's like, wow. And when I was with BitChute, I was like, "Wow,
Yeah.
this one's terrible. Me no like this. Is there another one?" And then that's how I found Odyssey.
What's like the platforms that you guys consider to be the best as far as video platforms? Because I'm only on YouTube and Rumble at the moment.
Okay, Odyssey. If you have a YouTube, you could do the same auto-sync thing that you do with Odyssey. For me, I don't have a YouTube channel because I desire complete creative freedom, and so I sacrifice, like, honestly, I don't probably sacrifice anything, because I'd probably just be shadow banned on YouTube anyway, because I say the petrodollar and black nationalism is bad.
Yeah,
So,
I've noticed like a huge decline in my views. Like a month ago it was like 70 or 80, and now I'm like at like 15 or 17 or something like that. So
because they're doing worse than shadow banning. They're curating the searches, and I can't read code, and I don't know how to read code. So even if I could see the code, I wouldn't know. But what it seems like they're doing is they're prioritizing maybe 20, 30 channels. 10 of them are probably politics. The rest of them are apolitical. 5 of them are probably like Hollywood stuff.
yeah,
Some of them are top 10, and then the rest are just the sort of fake happy YouTubers that Joel was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's why, look, what is it on my website? I'll talk about that in a second, but Andres, he has more views on my website than he does on his YouTube channel, or like equally as many views. And I don't do the whole CFO with Google stuff. I consider that a part of Silicon Valley. All my growth with everything is all natural. Like, there's no, I haven't bought any ads for anything yet. Well, actually, Minds has a feature where you can use the Minds tokens to put your thing on everyone's newsfeed if they scroll through the ad thing, which I don't scroll through the ad thing. So, I mean, I probably don't either,
I need to get better with like social media kind of shit. Cause I think I've made accounts on other places, but like, I just lose track of stuff, and I probably have an Odyssey account. I really don't really remember.
Well,
so
I would, one of the, I guess to that first question, because I've actually had this on the brain a lot, because I was already going to start announcing to my followers on YouTube that YouTube will not be my primary distribution channel. The reason I use YouTube still my primary, and will it would be tied for first to keep using it, is because I use it to distribute over to BitChute, Rumble, and
Odyssey.
Minds, and Odyssey. Odyssey is the most important one of all, because I actually have my entire library backed up to Odyssey, and they do that in the background for you. So if I ever get canceled, I am still able to be on on Odyssey, and Odyssey does offer live stream. We just lost them again. And Odyssey does offer live streaming. I think it's still in beta, if I'm not mistaken, Trevor. But that one,
I've live streamed a few times on there, yeah, myself.
But
what you
were
got to
you
do
in-
is no, I
buy-
wasn't involved. No, how they were beta testing it is if you had 50 people are saying it's called library credits, but they don't have an A. So I'm going to call them Libri credits because there's no vowels and it's spelled LBRY. Bite me, Odyssey creators. Anyway, sorry, Odyssey founders and Libri founders. But I'm just joshing them. I've appeared on their Libri podcast. It's like, what do you mean it's not called Libri? But anyway, all you have to do is have 50 Libri credits staked into your Odyssey channel, and you just start live streaming.
Yeah, basically, the more you engage on the site, kind of like mines, you're mining for it's almost like cryptocurrency. You can convert it to crypto later down the road. I know I did that with mines, and I was able to buy, I guess you could say, ways to boost my post. It's kind of like buy an advertisement so you can put your your content ahead or in front of a lot of different eyes. But if you were going to move somewhere else, I would say without a doubt go to Odyssey. But the place where I'm at, because everything you see here and what I do in YouTube and what I create for YouTube, I'm gonna be able to do that on Gab. And I had my misgivings about Gab. I don't hide it. I'm a Christian conservative in that order. And yes, while there is no other choice, I am a registered Republican. But even for some people on Gab, they don't exactly welcome me. But I got in more hate over at BitChute. I've been called a soy boy, a liberal. I'm like, excuse me? Just because
I've been called every slur,
I'm sure.
every slur, all of them.
Hold on.
What kind of
Go
heat
ahead,
do you
go
get on Gab? Because I mean, like, again, I barely use it. I'm not a social media guy, so I'm learning.
It depends on what you touch on. If you're on look, to me, it's not a location condition. To me, it's a human condition. If people are going to run their mouth, they're going to run it anywhere. And while they can hide behind an avatar, they're going to say it. So if I say something they don't agree with, or if I'm not lockstep, I have to be all right wing, whatever, then I'm going to get heat for it. Yeah. And it's like, well, I don't care. I'm telling you what I think. And
there is one leftist echo chamber on the group on Gab, and it's been completely untouched. I forget the name of it, but I came across it. Like there's the one token woke community. So there's that.
Well, and that's just it though. And there's actually been a lot more leftists coming on in recent months, and that's okay because that's the whole point. That over there you're gonna say hate speech is not in violation of the Constitution, but where the line is drawn is when there's a call to violence. That's a whole different story. So
and porn. They don't allow porn.
That's true. There's porn.
Thank you.
Because technically pornography.
Yeah, I always thought that was weird that there was porn on Twitter, but you can't say the election is rigged or something like that.
Yeah, you can't talk.
That was weird.
I can't quote a Time magazine article because that would be a far right conspiracy theory. So whatever.
Yeah, depends on what era of time. But yeah, I know we have you on just for a little bit, CI. So I had another thought for you. But if you do go with other social media places, that's why I'm on as many as possible because on Instagram, it's kind of what's left over from my Facebook when I deleted Facebook over a year ago, and that's where I still have some family and friends that are contacts. I don't use the whole close friends thing as a way to say, oh, these are the people that I want to just share my personal life with. I'm not sharing that.
Yeah.
But it's what I call it the inner circle because like, hey, look, this is what will get me banned, so to speak. If it's more public and people come across it and just report me because reasons. But that's why I keep that inner circle thing to let people know and to eventually I will be off. But that's why I have a locals that supplements my website because it's a place where I can monetize what I'm doing. And based on, I'm sure you've seen some of my recent posts, the big episode I dropped this week, it's called A Conversation with a Reformed Lesbian. and it just covering a lot of what's been happening, what people have been covering in the news, but just down to the nitty gritty, and also taking on the church. And when I mean the church, not an institution, but what is called the body of Christ, the Christian folk. I'm like, this is how you let this happen, and giving them suggestions on how they could better it. As a result of that, I was surprised that people signed up to locals and became supporters of mine. I'm like, hey, look, it's paying off, because what we do doesn't pay much, if at all. We're the ones, like, because we have a passion and we're putting our time and effort into it. It's great, and that's what hurts me about YouTube, because it came at the worst time. Like, damn it, Steven Crowder. Like, I love him, but it's like it came at that time, and then they applied the Crowder rule on all those small.
What
fish.
happened was with that was not Crowder's fault. It was YouTube's fault.
Well, of course, it was YouTube's fault. They sent the knee.
Are you talking about that thing where he went after some guy on Vox, like some gay guy on Vox, made fun of his lisp or something like that?
No, it's called. He mentioned, he said Lipsy Queer.
Something like
that. Because that's what that guy actually uses as his Twitter handle.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Carlos Maza from Vice.
I address you by your name, my king. Off with his head.
Yeah, and that guy, Carlos Maza, ended up being axed by Vox. Vox, but what was strange, he still got picked up by somebody else within Viacom. So, like, what's the difference?
Yeah, I remember a lot of people doing like response videos of that Carlos Maza guy. Like he would say some awful shit, and he didn't get any pushback at all.
He didn't get demonetized.
If you actually watch his Vox videos, he calls basically everyone except communists Nazis, which
really
this is the level of intelligence that he has.
I know Vox is pretty terrible in general.
They used to be fine, but then they got colonized.
That happened to so many things. Like Vice was pretty awesome back in the day.
And then they got colonized.
Hell, YouTube was pretty great, but
and then they got colonized.
Like, it seems like so many media-driven things are just turning to shit. So,
yeah, definitely.
It seems like every time I reach for my cup, Joel comes by and then he disconnects.
That's his trick. Keep reaching for your cup and you'll stay on. Can you hear us, Joel?
I can, just a little bit.
We can hear you just fine.
A little bit of trouble with my internet.
Bummer. Hey, I had a couple of questions for you, but CI is about to drop off, and I think we're losing your video. Well, I think you dropped your video feed here.
Yeah, I dropped my video feed.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the Critical Introverts, he's another content creator here, specializing in the arts. You said you're a graphic designer, and what else, CI?
Graphic designer, illustrator. I like my show. I guess it's politics based, but I eventually want to grow it because I think you have to sort of like tap into just mainstream or just the culture in general. So like I'm trying to start like a music show, and like my merch I'm trying to sell isn't politics related at all. It's just.
Are you thinking of making music?
Like a mixtape show.
Okay.
Like a radio show. But yeah, I'm trying to do that because I want to I don't want my stuff to be so politics driven because I think that'll just turn you fucking insane if you keep doing that.
Well, yeah, and we can still reflect on the good stuff. So,
yeah.
I just because I don't want to spoil anything because I'm going to be on your podcast on Friday, but I would love to talk to you about the comic book industry. And I have my comic books at my studio, so I'll be able to pull out my favorite ones that some have been adapted pretty well, but other ones no.
I've never been like totally into comic books per se, like my brother was into them, but I've always been like into, how do you say this? Like I've always liked people that were into sort of weird niche things, whether it be comic books or anime or just weird things that made them unique.
Wait, and who said anime is weird?
Anime is not. No. Anime is weird.
Yeah.
Attack on Titan.
I used to
great. That's my position.
Yeah. Like in the 90s, I started to get into anime, and then it just got kind of a little too dramatic for me, I guess, because I like the hardcore, gory, like
like Berserk.
Yeah, like people like ripping off like guts
The
and stuff
Ninja
like
Scroll.
that. And yeah, Ninja Scroll is like one of my favorites. Devil
You'd
Man.
like Attack on Titan. It's pretty gory.
Yeah, a lot of people recommend it to me. That
and then it gets better.
But it's just hard for me to like get into anything new.
Well, I'll tell you this much because I promised Trevor's going to bring it up. Attack on Titan is
Mhm.
not a cliche anime. It doesn't have the speed lines. It doesn't have
So
that
good.
forced drama. It's character driven for sure. The pacing is a little different because that's the way the story was written.
Mhm.
And I can tell you, you're seeing one of the, and not just anime or manga, one of the greatest literary works before our eyes.
This is
Happen in
like
real
Lord
time.
of the. It's like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars level of.
Is
good.
it one of those things where like would you consider
It's a
like
classic.
the
It's
manga
gonna be a
better than the
classic.
show, or is the show do the
Same.
manga justice?
The-
Oh yeah,
the
I don't
the
read Japanese
show-
comics because I don't read American comics.
Yeah.
So
No, well, what I can tell you is that the adaptation of the manga has been faithful,
Mhm.
and right now, as there's a seasonal break to finish the story, the manga's done. It was finished April last year,
Okay.
but the show is probably going to wrap up with another 6 or so episodes next year, and there is pressure on the studio to change the ending because the fans didn't receive the ending so much, and in my opinion, it should stick to what the author intended.
Yeah.
Because
I don't care what the fans have to say. To be honest,
Yeah, but that's where we are right now in what it is, and I would recommend you to check it out before anything it becomes a spoiler. Especially now that it's a seasonal break, you have plenty of time to catch up on it. And the next time we reconnect, because we will, I want you to tell us how you binged every 87 episodes.
Okay, there's only 87. Okay, because like my niece is really into like One Piece or something like that.
Oh my
and
Um,
That's
she tells
why I
me
will
that
never watch that.
she tells
That's
me there's
why.
like 7,000 episodes, and like
yeah.
I got
Yeah, no,
on that
I'm
one.
not doing that ever.
but at least it sounds like there's 80 or so episodes. That sounds
there's
reasonable.
and the way anime works, there's the canonical season, and then there's like little episodes that don't make the regular season, kind of like side stories, but still kind of feed the narrative. There are a handful of those for Attack on Titan, but they just fill in the gap for some of the storylines. They don't detract, so that's what's good. It has a lot to do. Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the author's name because dude, this dude started writing like at age 26.
I know the name, but I can't pronounce it. But I know it.
I gotta say,
can't spell it either because I can't pronounce it.
yeah, I'm like an action guy, so if the action is good in the show, I'm down.
Oh man!
But if
The
it's like
action's top tier.
if it's too
that
like
always-
dramatic and all that
No.
stuff, then I probably lose interest.
This is what I'll tell
to be
you.
honest.
I wish I could tell you to check out this guy Giguk on YouTube, but he's gonna spoil it for you because Giguk has some amazing essays on this, and one of my favorite things is this. You know how anime exaggerates? You can have a stick figure character throw a 500-pound character through a wall or 10 walls or whatever.
Yeah,
That's not here. It's grounded in
Never
reality.
happens.
It stays within the realms of physics, which is why it's wonderfully done. Because that's why things that shock you that wouldn't shock you in other animes, because it sets a tone that, hey, this is like an alternate history of mankind if it happened, and it feels pretty grounded and real. The only part that you might go like, okay, this is unrealistic, is that this is technically like an Eastern European setting, and they're all speaking Japanese, but it's okay.
I'm
That's
not
the best way to watch
yeah.
it.
I'm not nitpicky about that kind of stuff. Like as long as something's entertaining, I don't care. You know,
Honestly,
And
I've
the
been
sound-
watching
the
the
soundtrack will kick your
dub
butt.
up until the second part, apparently, of season 4,
Uh-huh.
and it's fine.
Okay.
It's
Well,
fine. It's not terrible.
I don't forgive you for that, Trevor. You didn't
I
take my
don't
advice.
care about that.
I don't- yeah,
Yeah, but also like I'm an old school kind of cartoon guy, so I can only take anything animated so seriously. Like if it's too dramatic, I kind of lose interest because I'm so into like the silly like Tex Avery, Simpsons.
It has its Attack on Titan has its funny moments. It has its jokes, and that's what makes some
Okay.
of the other things so tragic.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I can't
I
go.
think
I
we
can't
said
go
it. I
further.
think we said enough there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we say any more, we'll have to go into spoiling the story.
Exactly.
I hate this feeling.
Like, well, see, I don't want to keep you from making dinner, man. So
Yeah, I'll head out in a little bit. All right, I guess I'll just head out now. Thanks for
Yourself
having
a
me,
nice
guys.
juicy stack.
Curious Joel, I'm sorry I couldn't really get on with you.
Yeah, no, you sound like a really fun person to talk to, and I'm sad I missed like most of that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, are you gonna do this another time? Because I'll be down to come on.
Hey, and that's what I want. I was Trevor's been on a stream with me before, but hey, you guys like it? I would love to do this again sometime. We just talk pop culture stuff. Some of us have more like political heavy content, or at least we're addressing politics. But believe me, if you only do that for a living, you're gonna go insane. And so it's good to have.
I'll try to keep my ranting and ravings about the petrodollar to myself.
Yeah, or I could always put you on mute, Trevor, so that helps.
I mean, like I would like to have more like financial based conversations on my show, because so far it's just been like pop culture and.
Have you heard of NFTs?
No, don't start with NFTs.
I have no idea what
I
what they
hate
even
NFTs. I hate
non-fungible tokens. We don't want to go down that route right now.
No,
Just
yeah, a lot of artists fuck with those, but I have no idea what they even are at the moment.
Scams.
It's a scam, yeah, but it's easy as cash grab.
Okay.
But I will tell you, if you could message me like between now and Friday, if you want a certain theme for our.
Well, you mentioned that you had like a background in Hollywood. I mean, that's enough right there.
But if you like that, but you also said you want something financial, and of course,
that too. Like that, I don't know that much about that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
if you just want to like get into it.
I know what you're thinking,
it's your
but no, I don't think Andres was invited on Epstein's plane. I know you're thinking that, but I don't think that happened. He doesn't strike me as that kind of person.
You did it. He was your friend, said Ricky Gervais.
Like I don't know shit about like. If you want to talk about crypto, I don't know anything about that. If you want to talk about that,
I don't know anything about it either. But I love LARPing about crypto. You know?
Yeah. It seems like that. I'm a smart guy topic to bring up, and
right.
I just bring it up on like ironically, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you need to do some show prep with me. Let me know, and I'll prepare some things. Otherwise, I shoot from the hip, just like I'm doing right now.
We'll probably be talking a lot about Disney because it's artist space show on Friday, and
well, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things you can say about Disney.
Yeah. I mean, there was something that someone posted a thing of like, what's her name? Giselle Maxwell, like a picture of her in the 80s, like introducing at Disneyland, like on stage.
Interesting.
I forgot
I didn't see anything of the sort.
Yeah.
I have no comment.
Yeah, some guy. But
if I ever have kids, you're going to distribute things, so I can't advocate for terrorism because you're going to distribute this. So
keep it to yourself, Trevor. I don't know where you're going with that. All right. See you.
All right, man. All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Thanks a lot for being on.
Critical Introverts, YouTube, Rumble, and hopefully soon another shit. All right, see you guys.
Okay. All right, see you. Well, Joel, before we got disconnected, I was asking you how you came across my Instagram.
Oh yeah. So honestly, it was basically purely by accident. You know, I make it a habit to go through and just like follow things that look interesting, especially their podcasts. And so as I see like their tidbits and stuff, like they'll post different things, and like, you know, I like being part of the community and like learning about what other people are doing, how other people are doing it. You know, that's kind of part of my whole thing is just learning. And so I just kind of stumbled across yours, like saw another podcast, you know, followed you and, you know, saw your thing. I'm like, okay, listened to a couple of episodes. I'm like, this is a pretty cool guy.
Thanks.
So yeah, it was purely accidental. Just randomly on Instagram, basically.
Awesome. Well, I think I saw. You're probably following some things on Idlewild, or are you in Idlewild?
I am in Ottawa. That is where I live.
That's what I thought, because I'm like, I wonder how much or how close he is to drinking coffee at Black Mountain Coffee or getting his chocolate from a Buen Cacao. So
Actually, I'm really good friends with the owner of El Buen Cacao.
well, then that means you're friends with a childhood friend of mine, because Jessica is my childhood friend. We grew up in the same
No
church.
kidding.
Yes,
Okay.
and Eric, they came over my daughter's first birthday party years ago. This is 8 years ago.
Okay.
And they first expressed the thought of opening a chocolate factory. I'm like, Jessica, chocolate? I don't know. I mean, I never saw that growing up, and now
Interesting.
look at them. I know. So yeah,
That's
that's
really cool.
that's why I figured, like, I wonder if he discovered me because I was commenting on some Buen Cacao stuff.
I don't know. It might have been that, or it might have been just like how Instagram suggests like people that other people know. But yeah, I've known Eric and Jessica for like, I would say like 3 or 4 years now. And actually, he's one of the people that I'm wanting on my show to talk about, like, how did you get into making bean to bar chocolate?
Right?
Like that's crazy to me. Like I met him after he started, so I'm like, okay, sure. Like I can see you continuing that, but like, how in the world do you start doing that? And that just like blows my mind. But yeah, like I'm really good friends with him. I used to spend pretty much during 2020. I was in the shop almost every day getting their milkshake. Their chocolate milkshake is so good.
Oh yeah, it's bomb.
But
yeah, it's like their daughter and my daughter, they get along very, very well. So they chat every now and through our personal FaceTimes on our phones and things like that. But yeah, that's what I thought I'd ask. I'm actually working. We were supposed to do because Eric does a podcast with oh my goodness, his name slips me, from Black Mountain Coffee. They do the Hill of Beans. We're supposed to do a collab back in February, but we're both so very busy and we couldn't make that work. So like, it's all right. I didn't invite him to this one because like, I know you're not gonna make it, so why even bother? Yeah, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna get him on. But you have a better shot than I do.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, like trying to schedule a time that's like before his shop opens or after his shop closes, that he's still up to do things, is difficult. But I actually am the one that convinced him to buy a better microphone so he can actually, do a better recording instead of borrowing his friend's mic. And so he bought I convinced him to buy a Blue Yeti microphone, because those are fantastic.
That's a good one to start with. Yeah.
And that's what I have, and it's really good. And like, it was funny because like that's what I got for the previous podcast I was in. And like after I bought it, I started realizing that like big name people, like even like musical artists, have these things in the room. Like I'm a big fan of Weird Al Yankovic, and like he was doing this YouTube video, and I see his Blue Yeti just hanging right next to his computer. I'm like, dude, okay,
He could
cool.
do it, so could I.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was one of those like, all right, cool. I have a quality product that other people use, but yeah.
Yeah.
See that
definitely.
with headsets too. My friend has this headset thing, and it's such a good high quality headset. It's made in like, I think it's an Audio Technica. It's made in made in like 2015 or whatever. And no one buys the latest version. They just get this version because it's just that good.
Yeah, there's some things that like they hit everything that they needed to hit, and like it's like, okay, I could get another version, but why?
Yeah. I mean, look at vinyl. They made a comeback. Like, what the? You have a turntable, a tabletop?
I'm still waiting for Laserdisc to come back. Not because I have any experience or nostalgia with Laserdisc. I don't know. I just want that to happen.
Way before your time, Trevor.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe at this rate, 8-track tapes might come back.
Oh my gosh, that would be fun because a lot of people don't understand those references at all.
Right.
But like my parents grew up in that era, and I listened to a lot of those things. Like I grew up listening, like using records all the time. But I don't. I think Laserdisc thoroughly missed its chance to be a thing.
Yeah, no. Until they turned them into
What was the
CD-ROMs, which is
promise?
the same thing.
What was the promise of it with Laserdisc? Just high quality movie.
It was basically the same premise as a DVD, but like
Okay.
I think they're all, one of their things was like, gosh, I don't remember much of it, but because a lot of it overlapped with DVD, if I remember correctly. But like
Okay.
they also had like the like flip disc thing, so like you wouldn't have to flip the disc if I remember correctly, which I could be totally wrong. Don't quote me on this, but I think like it would read the bottom of the disc and then it would automatically read the top of the disc without having to flip it or anything or something like that. I don't know.
Oh.
But
I don't. That's interesting. I
I
don't
don't
recall
remember.
if I did
I'm gonna go look it up in a little while.
that.
No,
Yeah.
what was it?
Yeah. Oh, I have to look into that because I did use. I did watch Citizen Kane for World Cinema and college too, on a laser disc, and I don't remember having to flip it. So you're probably right. That's a long movie, and
Yeah.
it looked pretty high def to me at the time. But then again, it was a different era for me. It was 2006, whatever it was.
Yeah.
We come a long way since then. So, yeah. Oh man, those are the days. Gents, I would love to stay on longer. A call that I've been waiting for quite all day. They've been calling and calling, and I'm like, I don't know who you are. Then they text me like, oh, that's the call I've been waiting for all day. So they finally called me, and I do have to call them back because this is a bit of an urgent matter. So I do thank you all for just joining. Trevor, we've done this before, as you know the MO,
Yeah.
but I would love to do this again with more thought out, more planned out, just to
Yeah.
just to chat. And it just makes it for a fun report, you know. So like I said, I'm gonna be on the Critical Introverts podcast on Friday. I don't know when he's gonna publish it, but I'm gonna be on that, and you guys can exchange info if you want before we go, or just message each other on Instagram. I can get you guys your handles.
Easiest.
Instagram, right? Okay.
Yeah. And
All
for
right.
all of you brilliant viewers out there, my name is Trevor Brown. I am the editor-in-chief of Acropolis News Network because I can give myself whatever name and title I want because I own it. You could go to theacropolisnews.com or you could go to This Just Trevor on whatever Liberty platform is your choice. You know, except for the ones I'm not on because I haven't seen them pretty
Right.
much.
And where can people find you, Curious Joel?
Well, on Twitter at Curious Joel and on Instagram at Curious Joelcast, and you can find my podcast Curious Joel on pretty much every major like podcast platform.
Right
Yeah,
on.
go check it out if you like to learn more about a lot of different things. That's where to go.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's where we'll leave it. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning into this random, I would say, networking stream of creators here on the Andres Segovia Show. So it's going to go up on YouTube. Thanks a lot. And hopefully we'll do this again sometime. So until then, I'll see you guys then.
Yeah.
See you later.
All right. See ya.